Ha! You're terrible at this.
We're all terrible at this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to CineQuest Video Round 2.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the movie Communion, which is based on the book written by Whitley Strieber. And the movie is also based on the character Whitley Strieber, the person Whitley Strieber.
It's based on the character Christopher Walken.
It's based on the character Christopher Walken. That's what it is. It is starring Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
And again, if you do know who Christopher Walken is, you already have an image, the way he speaks in your head. This is peak Christopher Walken. If you've seen an impression of Christopher Walken, they may have gotten it from this because this movie is all Christopher Walken impression. If you want to practice your Christopher Walken impression, I suggest you watch Communion quite a few times. Yeah, he dances in the fucking movie with aliens. It's ridiculous. But we're going to get started with the synopsis.
Communion is a 1989 American science fiction horror film. I'd add comedy to that. Based on the book of the same name written by Whitley Strieber in 1987. Communion follows Whitley Strieber, played by Christopher Walken, and peak Christopher Walken craziness. This story is about Whitley Strieber's real-life encounter with alien visitors and the effect it takes on him and his family. You may gather from the book a very traumatic experience, but in this film, you're in for a more traumatically lighthearted encounter with aliens where we bro out, laugh, share some high fives, and have delusions of magicians. All in all, if you want to see Christopher Walken play a man who has claimed to be abducted by aliens in the craziest of ways, the most insane ways, you need to check out Communion.
We did do an in-depth discussion of the book Communion, our Valley Strange episode, which we'll put up right there somewhere.
I mean, we tried. It was mostly,
We tried.
It was mostly me, you and Daniel reading it and then talking shit to me because I couldn't remember anything.
Well, I mean, it's an in-depth discussion of the book. We go fairly thorough through each chapter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What was he doing? Why is this the case? We're just asking questions as to Whitley Strieber's necessary choices that the choices that he makes whenever he's actually writing this out.
You can listen to me be confused as hell as I try to fucking make sense of what I'm trying to
Right, and you can
explain.
also see a lot of Whitley Strieber's interviews, Coast to Coast staple. He did a lot of interviews when the book came out. The book was a major success, like a huge success. I still love the book. I think it's great. I think it's great.
It was a bestseller.
It is a very
for 6 months.
Was it just 6 months?
Well, it says a nonfiction bestseller for 6 months in '87.
Well, I will tell you this though, like a friend of mine was the one that mentioned it to me first because this was a book that kind of scared him. Most of the movie as well. Just the cover alone, Communion, a true story, general alien picture there, which is kind of like the alien that they took for the movie and made it look really bad. You'll see clips. Here it is right here. But Roland, your initial thoughts on the movie Communion?
This fucking movie. It's worth at least watching once. I'll say that. Like Christopher Walken, great performance as usual. It's about what you'd expect from him. Some wacky ass, goofy, nonsensical bullshit. You just sight for the eyes. Just feast and enjoy the experience. Good luck making any goddamn sense of it.
Yeah, I think if I hadn't read the book, like a lot of this would be very confusing because initially we start off with him in the very beginning of the movie, just with he has a hat and he's just talking to himself, mumbling away. And from my understanding, that is Christopher Walken just like improv the whole time. They put a camera on him and he does his thing. He's like, all right, and there's a lot of that.
I'm crazy. I've been abducted by aliens.
Exactly. There's a lot of that through this whole fucking movie.
They probed me, guys.
He goes, I'm naked, and I'm talking to you. I'm naked.
How dare you?
My terrible Christopher Walken though. But yeah, this movie is nuts.
Yeah, I mean, the best parts obviously are the abduction scenes.
Yeah.
A little bit of the hypnotic regression that he goes in, uses or tries to use. It's interesting. I don't really care about the family so much. Even though they are affected too, I think it's more in the book though than the movie. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here they kind of touch on a little bit. You know,
the kid does.
Yeah, there is a strain between, of course, husband and wife.
Right.
The husband, as in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, experienced something, and then the wife is kind of trying to understand his nuts.
Right.
His nuts, his craziness, his psychosis. And you know, there's friction there because he can't really explain what's going on. And he's acting crazy, and then she doesn't understand, and he's not communicating.
And then she's worried about
and
their
it's just
family.
marriage shit, you know? So
at that point, yeah. And then the kid gets involved, and they're like, oh, fuck.
Right, because in the film, the kid does mention that he sees these blue doctors that come into his room at night.
Yeah.
And of course, that doesn't get revealed until like a little bit later on in the movie, when that's when Christopher Walken or Whitley Strieber takes this a little bit more seriously when he goes into the regression appointments to where he's trying to understand, and then he finds out, comes to the realization that the aliens or the beings or the visitors, as he's called in the book, they've been with him his whole life. Since he was a kid, he's been seeing these things. And then that's kind of passed on from him to an adult to his child now. I haven't gone any further with the book Communion or with Whitley Strieber other than, like, of course, the book. So I only know from that.
You mean his other books?
Yeah, his other books.
Okay,
he has like The Greys.
Yeah.
I have another book of his called The Greys.
Yeah.
And I have another book of his. I forgot the name of it. I haven't read them yet, but like they kind of go into more of a, I would say it's more like transcendental kind of shit. The Greys themselves, or the Greys book, I don't know anything about it, but I'd hopefully to read it at some point. But Communion is worth a read. It's hard to find a copy of the initial cover that everyone usually wants, which is the alien face. Again, we'll put a picture up so you can see it. I actually have 2 copies of the mass market versions I found used. And anytime I find a copy of the Communion book, I usually buy it, even though I have, at this point, multiple copies. I did have a trade paperback version with a new cover, which I gave away to someone else who wanted to read it. But I'm just looking for copies of the original Alien cover. If you happen to have it, send it my way. I'll pay for it. I won't pay too much, though. It ain't worth that much.
It's
but
nostalgia mostly.
It's nostalgia. Like, I just like having multiple copies of that particular cover.
Yeah, there you go. Some people like to collect the Bible. Some people like to collect the Necronomicon.
Yeah,
Ray
I like to
wants
collect communion books, Assuming.
Covers.
Specific covers, right? So my thoughts on the movie, it is nuts. It is just a wacky movie. It's just all Christopher Walken, and the interaction between him and the aliens or the extraterrestrials, the visitors. Again, there's like 2 different races. There's like these little fat blue, purple looking things.
Yeah, I don't know what
and then
how
there's
to
like
describe them.
The typical faced aliens that are just kind of flopping around in the spaceship.
Right, yeah. Apparently they got no bones. They're just kind of like those inflatable whatever the hell those things are, those inflatable guys. It's like the Nope or whatever.
Yeah, the ones that have like a car dealership and shit.
Yeah. I always forget what they're called. It's stupid, but it's the inflatable guys that just kind of like do this or whatever. Yeah. That's what the fucking the Greys look like in this movie. It's so silly.
When did this movie come out, Roland? I'm kind of forgetting. It was 87?
No, hold on.
I think that was the...
Yeah, that was the book. This was 89.
89. Yeah, so the book came out 87? Right. Yeah, because...
Yeah, February 25th.
Yeah, because everything took place from like, I think 85 and like 2 years. It was like 2 years or something. That he was...
Yeah, where he experiences the lost time.
Yeah, lost time, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and of course, and there's a few liberties that they take within the movie itself, like a lot. All right,
like a lot. You mean like everything with Christopher Walken?
Everything with Christopher Walken is like a lot. I read, I don't remember what it was, where I know Bryce mentioned this to me as well, that there was an instance where Whitley Strieber, he wrote some of the screenplay, he wrote the screenplay, and he was like on set, and he was watching.
How he was involved with.
Well, he was watching Christopher Walken do his thing, and that he went up to Christopher Walken and said, like, basically saying, "You're playing me a little too crazy." And then Christopher Walken was like, "Well, if the shoe fits."
That's awesome.
Him being fucking him, doing his thing, whatever.
If the shoe fits. That's fucking hilarious, dude. I was gonna ask like what kind of advice or what involvement Strieber had with the movie.
Well, he was part of like actually writing some of it. I think he was like a producer as well.
Oh wow.
But Whitley Strieber is no stranger to films because a lot of his books have been adapted into films.
Yeah.
One was the book that he wrote with Art Bell, the Coast to Coast host, called Geostorm. That was the Day After Tomorrow. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
All right, there's that.
Was that the one with John Cusack or?
No, that's 2012.
Okay.
This is you remember like when like everything kind of freezes over and shit.
Yeah,
like
like Deep Impact and
it's like one of those disaster films.
Yeah, they came around on the mid to early 2000s or something when like there was a bunch of disaster porn movies coming out all at once.
From my understanding, it was a book first, and then they got adapted into a film. Another one that he did was The Hunger, which is I believe it's a vampire movie. I think I'm not too sure.
Heard of it.
I haven't seen it, but it's always been on my list. You can go down there and see his.
I wanted to see Wolfen. Is that it?
Yeah,
The Hunger is the one.
The Hunger, yeah. That is not the one with David. Yeah, the one with David Bowie and Susan Sarandon.
What?
That's the one I want to check out. It's erotic.
I imagine. Firstly, it's just got David Bowie in it, so there's
and Susan Sarandon.
Yeah,
come on now.
There's gonna be some nips. I hope maybe somebody's hanging dong. Who knows? Get a little bit of penetration.
Maybe. Who knows? It is a movie I've always wanted to watch, just because it's like a vampire movie.
1983, huh?
Yeah. So again, at this point, it is. You can kind of like put on your skeptical hat, because this person is writing horror fiction already, So him coming out with a book called Communion, dealing with his alleged own experiences, can kind of make someone
seems a bit sketchy,
Yeah,
like, a little hesitant to buy into it.
I personally, again, I have no basis, I have no evidence, I have no actual research other than the book and watching him in interviews and hearing watching and listening to interviews with him. I believe him. I believe something happened. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe he plays a fucking straight face the whole time and I'm being duped. It's quite possible. That burp is brought to you by Hazy IPA, Odell Brewing Company. It's just FYI. Smooth. It's very smooth. Yeah. Just like I feel like Travis Walton, I feel like that's might be real. I hope it's real. In Whitley Strieber's case, I hope it's real, because he's based his entire career since this book and these alleged incidents strictly on this. Like, he's always making the rounds at these UFO conventions and whatnot.
It's a long time to push the lie.
Yeah, and it ain't doing him any favors again.
No, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you have your small niche of people who believe him. Like, if I mention the name Whitley Strieber, nobody will fucking know who he is unless
they're a stupid name.
Yeah, unless they're familiar with the UFO shit.
What kind of parents would hate their kid so much they would name him Whitley?
So just back to the movie. Again, it starts off with him kind of like mumbling to himself. It's Christopher Walken doing his thing. And then they go up to a cabin with friends. They see this bright light. And then the friends that are with them apparently also see them too, but it's kind of affected Wheatley the most. And he's had more of these like lucid dreaming incidents. And it kind of happens periodically throughout the movie. Again, it gets really weird. He gets probed with a really disgusting looking fucking steel penis. Just fucking comes out of the fucking thing and just pops him. And
they didn't even lube that thing up. I think they went in dry.
It is a shame that maybe there were more things explored in the book that they just left out in this movie, because basically this movie, just like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, is pretty straightforward. Guy may have been abducted, then he goes into regression, finds out that he may have really been abducted and may have been probed or like stuck with needles. And then his family gets involved, find out his son has seen him too. Right. Then his wife apparently saw some light at the cabin they were staying at. Yep. Their friends also. Yep. And basically he goes to like these groups and he's a little hesitant. The hesitation in this movie is where Christopher Walken kind of comes through. He's very resistant
because of the way he looks at people. Like, no, I'm not crazy. You're crazy. Christopher Walken looking at somebody like they're
the way he looks at people, the way he talks to his wife. At some point, like they argue like very intensely, and he's just like, "What? Go to hell!" Like he just says, "Go to hell!" Like so casually. I'm just like, that's kind of rough, isn't it? That's a little rough, but yeah, man. Like, and then the next scene, they're like, "Oh, like, all fine."
Yeah,
and stuff.
Exactly.
Then they fucking fight again. Because he's just like, I'm not doing this. I'm not crazy. Like everyone's crazy. Like no.
Yeah,
it's a lot of mumbling, a lot of this, a lot of hand waving, a lot of what do you want me to do here? Like kind of shit. Again, gotta get that Christopher Walken impression down. I'm gonna watch Communion about like 30 more times before. I'm gonna practice in the mirror and everything.
Are you gonna show up with his hair and shit one of these days?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
I'm gonna just sit there and fucking do the scene where he's bowing to the.
You can dress. You can put on that. I'll put on the pinstripe suit where he's got the mustache and the eyeshadow, and you can be there doing the bows and stuff, and I'll be there looking like an asshole.
So this movie basically shines when Christopher Walken comes in contact with aliens.
Right.
It's Christopher Walken in all his glory, talking with the aliens, and you don't get the impression that these aliens are like they don't have any malice to them.
Right, they don't seem to have any bad intentions.
Right,
but
I mean, they do.
There are some moments where they do seem a little intimidating, but I want to say mostly it's because of the music scoring it.
Yeah,
you'll see something and then you'll hear it or something like.
To get to the music, apparently Eric Clapton composed the score, and Roland and I are under the impression that he literally like went into the studio one day, probably high as balls.
Yep.
And they told him just riff over like, just do a slow riff over like the next 5 minutes, and we'll just chop it up because that's literally what it sounds like. Every few often you hear. Like it's like there is no effort put into that fucking music.
There's no rhythm. There's none. There's no
it's slow.
Chorus. It's just
you could probably take that soundtrack and throw it onto some kind of like Cinemax erotica, and it would probably be the same thing.
Yeah,
like in the mid like slow move sex scene.
It'd be the same shit, same scenes and everything.
They're gonna take that. They're gonna put him an alien. He's fucking an alien. It's gonna be this whole thing.
Apparently, in 2010, though, it says here the theme and the end credits were released by former Oingo Boingo guitarist
Steve Bartek.
Yeah,
and not who's the Oingo Boingo guy, the main guy.
I don't fucking remember, dude.
Oh man, I can't believe what the fuck's wrong with me.
You failed. You're such a
Danny Elfman.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, Danny Elfman. Yeah, I'm like, how could I fucking forget? He's done like so many fucking things. But
the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo.
Yeah.
Well. Yeah, Danny Elfman. Fucking ridiculous guy. Also super cool, but hey, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd hope there might be in a rewatch. Anytime I watch a movie again for like this, I think it's like the 4th time I've seen this movie, that maybe there might be something that's revealed that's new, but there isn't. Other than just paying attention more thoroughly to this movie, you see how fucking crazy Christopher Walken is, and it's just fucking nuts.
How many times can you see Christopher Walken's butt crack?
You see like about that much,
like that much. It's like half the crack is on there. It's just because he's sitting down. He's smushed.
And I will say this though, that I told this to Roland. I wasn't sure how closely he was watching, but the scene where he's naked and he's about to get probed. And of course, Christopher Walken, having an odd torso, weird body shape.
Oh yeah.
He like goes back, and you just see like silhouette of bush.
Yeah.
And I was just like, God damn, that was too much.
Okay, so I remember that after what you were telling me earlier. I had forgotten. Yeah.
It's not fun.
It's fucking hilarious. Mostly because I didn't remember until you mentioned it. I was mostly just remembering the probulating and his ridiculous expressions and stuff where he's like,
Yeah, this is like, not
he's like, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Again, didn't use lube. It's a problem, these guys.
Now,
no consideration.
To go back to the actual book itself,
sensitive butthole.
That the scene in the movie has a sense of levity to it because, of course, it's Christopher Walken doing his thing, and then he's dancing at some point.
He's dancing.
I mean, in the book, it's a bit more. It's awkward. It's uncomfortable.
Right.
And because there's a point where like it seems like Whitley Strieber's like just questioning. Because he gets like semi-aroused in the book, and it's making him. It's just a really disturbing scene. Even when I read it the first time, I had to read it a second time. I was just like, that's is that really what's going on? And eventually he came out later. I heard him in interviews saying that he basically has come to the conclusion that he was raped.
Right.
Like on screen, he was raped in this whole thing, and he's kind of stood by that.
Yeah.
Unless anything's changed from here until the next time I hear some random interview, but he in the movie it's kind of lighthearted, but like it was a real disturbing situation for him.
It's more like it's like the Muppet Show or some shit. Like it's just it's very goofy. The set is very like overwashed or washed out, like oversaturated with light.
It's very bright.
So it's almost like a dream sequence kind of thing.
I was reading something they said maybe that was the intention to kind of give it that kind of look to where the audience always thinks that maybe he's in some kind of dream where it's not real or because again we're looking at it every time he walks, like when he walks into the ship. You think he's there, like he's really going into it, but we don't know for sure because he thinks he's awake.
Right, and then it turns out he's not at the end of the movie, right?
It cuts to him. It cuts to him like into a car, but I mean that could also be a situation where it's lost time because in many instances where
it could be
someone gets abducted, they either disappear from their car and then they end up back in their car and they're driving and they don't even fucking know. They blacked out or something.
That's possible. It doesn't really tell you.
It doesn't. No.
It just sort of like cuts to the next scene.
It leaves it kind of ambiguous and all that. Yeah.
And then he goes home.
Yeah, and then of course at the end of the book, it's him starting to write the book Communion, and that's kind of like where it ends. But I think at the end of the movie, it seems that he's come to terms with the fact that this has happened to him. That again, since he had that little like bro sesh with the fucking aliens.
They're all fist bumping
bounding,
and shit.
slapping hands, like all that kind of shit.
Doing some weird. What the fuck?
Yeah, they
was
do
that?
the fucking.
What the fuck?
I don't know what it's called.
That's from.
I just find it hilarious the sequence of this numerous times, and then this, and then this again, and then
they do this number.
Blah 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 blah.
Like ha 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 ha.
Handshake, and then
high five.
What the fuck? I dare you to name an alien movie that's happened at any point, and I'm talking even those comedic ones. I have not seen. We will do a reaction to this, Mac and Me, which I'm hoping. I don't know the extent that goes, but I know that's supposed to be a ridiculous movie as well. But where you are supposed to have fear for these aliens, and they are just giving you some kind of weird, jokey gesture, high five in your ass. Like I don't know.
Wasn't it from there?
What do you think is the alfalfa?
No, dude, Our Gang.
Is that what it's called?
I thought, the show, no? That was what he was in. Like, that's what I thought I remembered this stupid thing. I remember seeing a few episodes, I want to say.
I don't know what that gesture is called, to be honest with you.
When I was a kid, I don't. It's just like a fuck you. Or
if you're out there, if you're listening or you're watching, and you know
old enough
the
to
gesture,
know what that shit is.
Or you're watching on YouTube, because like if you're listening to this, like this gesture that I'm doing, you don't know what the fuck it is. But watch it on YouTube and you see the gesture. Tell us what it is, because I don't know what it's called.
I don't remember. I mean, we should be old enough to remember that, but
you should be. You're not gonna be.
Meh, whatever.
Let's go to any trivia for the movie Communion.
See what we got. Just gonna type it in. Fucking Wikipedias. You're not helping me for shit. What do you got, IMDb? Poof. Eat a dick. I'm not gonna rate shit. Get the fuck out of here.
Okay, so it does say, while serving as the executive producer, author Whitley Strieber, whose experiences serve as the basis of the film, expressed concerns, that's the first thing I said, concerns about Christopher Walken's abilities in portraying him. When Strieber finally told Walken he might be portraying him a little too crazy, Walken replied, "If the shoe fits." I wasn't bullshitting, I told you. And
I fucking love that so much. That is such a Christopher Walken.
That's probably like the best thing to respond to someone.
Like the best, like most sarcastic, non-confrontational.
Yeah.
What were they? Malicious compliance example ever from fucking goddamn Walken.
You know, they're talking about like the fact that Eric Clapton did the soundtrack, but like it says it's a musical theme at the very beginning. Yeah. I'm telling you, it was 5 minutes of him like riffing over some like slow music, and then they just cut it up and threw it into the movie. The rest of the. I
mean, that makes more sense considering how they never released a soundtrack.
Yeah.
So it's like
why
because
would there
never was one.
I go, we're gonna hear this 5 minute single, and that's it. says Anne Strieber is referring to Joseph Campbell's 4-volume compendium of world mythology with her Masks of God observations.
I've got some of those books down there. His world mythology stuff. It's interesting.
Those are fun stuff to read.
Yeah, it's interesting. Joseph Campbell is, I mean, somewhat controversial anthropologist, but a lot of his ideas were you can be, if you take them out of context, I guess, or rather out of any negative context, they're interesting ideas. But
so another one says that director Philip Mora had originally met author Strieber in London in the late 1960s after Mora made his film Death of a Soldier. 1980s, he ran into Strieber again, and they got to talk. And Strieber mentioned his recent experiences. Mora told Strieber that if he got around to writing about them, to let him know. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So he told. That makes a lot of sense. Why he wrote that? Like, that's. Well, I wouldn't say that seems more suspicious, but I mean, like, I mean, he had connections in the industry, so I mean, if he's like telling someone's experiences, I can guess so. Like,
I mean, at that point, he would have. I would assume his book would have been kind of popular, or
he had some hits already, So
right, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of curious to see wondering whether anyone else had been interested in making it into a movie, making his book into a movie.
Oh, there was a scene in the movie when he's talking to the doctor for the first time who's gonna put him under. She does have a book on her table called First Contact, and that's what I was kind of curious about that. And here it's saying that during the meeting between Whitley and Anne Strieber with Janet Duffy in her office, over Duffy's table can be seen the book with the yellow cover named First Contact. It's an 1988 history of nonfiction book written by Bob Connolly and Robin Anderson about the discovery in 1930 of a flourishing native population inside New Guinea's highlands, where it had been considered as an uninhabited area, and who hadn't had previous contact with the outside world. There you go.
Yeah.
And that makes sense, I guess. Whitley Strieber's alien contact books are usually cataloged as physical research or paranormal.
Psychical research.
Self-transformation. That's a new one, so just remember that.
Psychical research.
I say physical research. Psychical research, sorry.
No. Yeah. I would have believed yours mostly because it's an actual word. Psychical? Give me a fucking break. What? All right. Sure,
my mind corrected it for me.
Yeah, he auto-corrected from fucking gibberish to normal English. No, don't do that.
So it's categorized as like self-transformation, which you can say is nonfiction, but that's kind of like up in the air on your perspective on what would be considered nonfiction or fiction.
Right.
I guess that kind of blurs the line because you'll find books in there by William Bramley, which does the Gods of Eden, and then you have Zachariah Sitchin doing 12th Planet. Again, Communion. You also have like the Satanic Bible. A lot of books that you wouldn't find normally in the general, I guess. I don't know if there's no...
These aren't like, that's not normal reading.
Yeah,
you're not going to go to book club or Bible school or some bullshit and pick this up.
No, or like psychics, divination, occult stuff, witchery.
Unless you're into like some kind of, Wiccan stuff, in which case, good for you.
Well, that's where we come in and we read the books for you.
Hey, we got something interesting. We've actually gone through quite a few interesting books.
Yeah.
Somehow at this point, it's kind of added up a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, again, the thorough discussion of communion, which, I always think we can do a little better job at some of these things, but hey, it's just a group of guys talking about a book. So,
yeah.
So
you're the ones that make the mistake thinking that we know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Dummies.
Suck it.
But yeah, so that's a bit of trivia for the movie Communion. How this correlates to the real story, again, it gets very thorough. You can check out that episode. We won't get into it too much, but since this movie does fall into the line of movies that are based in some kind of true event,
that's what we're talking about here. This last one real quick, because that's some wacky shit. It says here, there's a deleted scene in which Strieber dreams that he is becoming his wife. And Walken appears briefly in drag with bizarre flashes of crying child abductees. The jack-o'-lantern and doors and windows opening, flooding the dark rooms with light. Why?
They should have left that shit in there.
Why did you get rid of that?
Leave that shit in there.
What
Come on.
in the fuck is wrong with you? Why was that not in the book? What the hell is this? I don't remember that
Again,
at all.
I think they put the camera on Walken and just let him fucking riff, man.
It. Be Strieber.
Yeah.
All right.
He was like, you're right. I'll be the Strieber. And then he just starts dancing.
Aliens.
Yeah. I'll put a few. The clips will be there. Hopefully, you can get the idea of what we're talking about. But yeah, man, like,
yeah,
you can take any of like the SNL sketches of him doing the cowbell shit or the wow, you want some champagne and shit like that, and you can literally just throw them into this movie because that's where they would fit totally.
Yeah, that would probably be a pretty cool like little cut up compilation.
Yeah. You just gotta like kind of match the colorization and then it look like it's seamless.
Should do that like an SNL / communion mashup.
Yep.
That would be fucking funny. We'll see.
And just a little trivia for those who have been listening over the past few years. The intro music to Valley Strange has clips of communion in it. That was all done by Bryce. One of his favorite movies is this one.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And it had not the intro music, the outro music. Sorry.
There you go.
The outro music has the communion clips in there.
I first heard that and I was like, oh, please tell me that's not a clip from my fucking, like, some stupid shit I said. And then I was like, I watched the movie and I was like, oh, fuck.
Because as we're watching, as you listen to it, it says rectal probe.
Yeah.
That's him. And then it says this ridiculous. That's probably straight from the movie.
Again, I thought it was, first time I heard it, I thought it was some bullshit I said on another episode because it really sounded, because I'm pretty sure I've used those words.
Oh, I'm pretty sure.
Specifically.
Rectal probe?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm kind of curious as to where that would have come out.
I'm pretty sure it was during the...
You know what? I'm going to go back and research this.
I'm pretty sure it was probably during the community episode. Fuck, I guess I said it again. Communion.
You really want to watch Community, don't you?
It's because they have that fucking relaunch or whatever the hell they were doing. Was it on Paramount Plus or something?
I don't know.
Yeah, and of course Chevy Chase ain't a part of it because
of course not.
Fuck
He's an asshole.
Yeah. No, yeah, they're doing some like mini movie thing. I don't know what the fuck, and like it's just stuck in my head. And I'm not even a big fan either.
Yeah, just watch it casually. Yeah.
I don't even think I would put it on that. Like, that's casually, that's a strong word, right?
Sorry.
I think I need a third screen for that shit.
Right,
yeah.
up in the ceiling where your eyes don't even avert to there.
I just know it's there. I can feel the bullshit.
You can feel the heat from the TV coming down.
Keeps me warm, all right?
So I would say for me, this is an enjoyable movie, again, specifically for those alien scenes with Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
If I could just have those, if I could just clip those together and make this whole movie, then I would be fine with that because that's
the rest of it is kind of, forgettable.
Yeah, I could take it or leave it. It's okay.
It's not a long movie, at least.
No, it's not. 105 minutes.
Yeah.
Good timing.
Not too bad. It's about average. Actually, now it's a little below average. Most movies are fucking 2 hours and up.
Yeah.
Just give me a fucking break, dude.
I mean, this movie is kind of, I guess, rated fairly down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
There's people who like it for whatever reason. I mean, Christopher Walken, the aliens. The aliens are bad. The makeup is bad.
Oh, yeah.
It's all bad.
One of them looks like it's got a BJ face or something.
It's got like
the whole time.
He's got the whole mouth and shit. Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is that?
The movie is not good necessarily, but you watch it to...
Yeah, it didn't do well.
You watch it for Christopher Walken's wacky ass performance.
You've got to be shitting me. I thought Strieber was cool with this. The first sentence reads there. It received a mostly negative reaction and was panned by Strieber himself due to its non-factual portrayal of him.
You see?
Or maybe too factual. That's what it is.
I don't know,
too much of himself in the Walken.
I wonder if he was like pouting the whole time when Christopher Walken's doing his shit. And
because he's like, what the fuck are you? Who are you? This is Christopher Walken. Who gives a fuck about you,
Had he done like the Dead Zone by then?
No.
89? Yeah, I think he had done the Dead Zone already.
Wasn't this 87?
89.
Oh, it was 89. Yeah, I think you're right. Wasn't Dead Zone redone though?
It was, but I mean, like Christopher Walken did come on the Dead Zone first.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
I don't know.
Well, again, you watch Communion to watch. You watch a Christopher Walken movie to watch Christopher Walken.
Yeah, fuck
That's
anything
it.
else. Christopher Walken Aliens, I'm there.
You could not, for the life of you, if you had done any more research, knowing that this was about an actual book, you could have like, oh, whatever, it's Christopher Walken doing his thing. Christopher Walken is the best part of this movie. The aliens are the worst, but the interaction between the two of them is probably the best part. Yeah,
there are a lot of different aliens too. Yeah. I was actually kind of happy that they were able to pull that shit off. Yeah, I thought they were just gonna throw us those damn flesh-colored fucking grays.
Yeah, no, man.
The boneless fucking flopper.
Well, I mean, dude, they fucking had one floating above, and you could tell it almost. It was on, it's on strings, you know. And it's just
yeah, with the little flailing legs and shit, looking like some kind of wind-up doll.
It's outrageous. Mm-hmm. But you know what?
I think it was a good attempt, considering how fucking ridiculous Strieber's descriptions were of his experience.
But I do want to say this though. We talked about Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and you look at the effects for that fucking movie, and then this one. I don't know what the budget was, but they should have been able to do better.
Oh, yeah.
They should have been able to do better.
Know. What was their budget?
This movie tries to be like a psychological science fiction horror movie, but it's a psychological science fiction horror comedy.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah, they did not pick.
They picked the wrong guy to take this seriously at all.
Exactly. I'm trying to.
Like he did not take it seriously at all.
Where the budget is. They only made a one almost $2 million in the box office.
I mean, for the 1989, I don't know what that would.
I don't know
how much that is. You know?
I don't know. Don't know. Don't care so much. But apparently it was a box office failure.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised. We like this movie for all the wrong reasons. As far as like what people would, I assume.
Well, I'm gonna say that any person watches this movie and likes it, it's for the wrong reasons. If you're out there and you genuinely like this movie for what it is or what it's trying to be, like, please tell us why. Because I like this movie, but not because it's really good. Yeah, it's so good it's bad because, and again, it's all sold on Christopher Walken's performance and his performance on top of that with his interaction with those aliens, which is terrible. But I mean, high five. We talked about it already. High fives, handshakes, whatever, dancing.
Christopher Walken with eyeshadow and a fucking penciled on mustache and.
Yeah.
Walken's half full moon. So, you get to see that too in his.
Oh, Bush. Too.
Right, and Walken Bush. Can't forget that. It's important. In fact, you should be watching for it.
And I feel there's a small part of me that feels kind of bad for Whitley Strieber because this is the representation of a book that or a book that he wrote about incidents that traumatized him.
Right.
And this is just turning into a fucking joke.
A spectacle.
A spectacle, if you will. Jordan Peele?
No. So, I mean, what the fuck did he expect, honestly? He should have been used to this kind of shit by now. The second he put out a fucking UFO book, they're going to be skeptics. They're going to be fucking pundits.
Think about it. I mean, like, you already had fucking Close Encounters of the Third Kind come out. That was a fairly serious movie, like, in a sense. I mean, it's taken seriously as far as, like, interaction with aliens and stuff like that, right? And again, also had some kind of quote-unquote realistic elements to it, allegedly.
Okay, you're starting to lose me there, dude.
I'm saying allegedly. I know. I'm trying to fix this, right?
I know. But, like, I mean, to go in as far as, yes, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, was super popular. But I for the sense of, like, in the sense of the abductions and aliens phenomena, like, being popular.
Yeah.
Aside from that, it was movie magic that everybody loved that movie for.
Yeah, for sure.
It was like, aside from that, those clips, those warm parts, the movie is actually just like any of these other alien abduction movies, not really that interesting.
Well, that's a little bit of a stretch. I will disagree with you on that.
Okay, so I mean, in the sense of, like, things that are going on, like a lot of the action, a lot of the things that actually seem to matter.
You come to watch these movies because of the aliens,
right?
Right, I got you.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, I'm not interested in the family's
dynamic,
because it's always the same. It's always confusion, just concern, and generally a shitload of dysfunction. So, yeah, that's generally why I don't. But I imagine I'm trying to speak here from in a general sense from everyone. Why that's not the thing that people go to watch these movies for. They want to see the weird shit. I mean, so do we. But
I'm just saying that I think that like obviously they could have taken a different turn with this movie. Been more serious again because it is in the case of the book it is a serious subject matter,
right? It's just that they do a good job of fucking that up early when you actually meet the aliens. The soundtrack alone is just like it's gonna
the soundtrack's terrible.
Take you out of
the aliens look terrible. Yeah, like
it's something between a Muppet show and a music video.
But again, that's why I feel there's a part of me that feels a little bit bad for Whitley Strieber because this is a representation of a book that. He wrote that was full of traumatic experiences for him. Yeah. And then you get Christopher Walken coming in going, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah. You're weird. And this is weird.
And this is me being weird, doing dances and shit.
This is me being you. And you can't do shit about it.
All right. Well, yeah. So overall ratings of the movie, we have 1 out of 10, obviously, or 0 out of 10. I'm gonna go first. All right.
I don't want to.
I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. The 6 is literally for the Christopher Walken.
The Walken factor.
And alien encounters. I enjoy this movie, but again, for the wrong reasons. If I was to really rate this movie on what it is and what it's supposed to be, it would be a lot lower. But 6 out of 10, I do enjoy it. But again, for all the wrong reasons.
Oh... I mean, I am going to go lower than that, but I'm just not sure if I wanted to give it another 5 because I think I've been going a lot of middle road for some of these movies, and I want to do that with this because I don't want to.
You did better with like Fire in the Sky. I think Fire in the Sky is probably the highest rated one of ours.
Probably
because it is honestly, it is the one done right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is the best one so far.
That is, it's got real actors in it. Fuck off, Walken. I love you, but no, you're not gonna sell me that bullshit.
You're playing this person. You're not. You're not just Christopher Walken with a different name attached to you.
Right? No, you're Walken being Strieber. Yeah, not Strieber being Walken. Anyways, look.
That's one of those things.
I'll give this like a. I was gonna give it a 4. But I'll give it. I'll give it a 4.5 because again, Christopher Walken is pretty much, and he should be really because in fucking Strieber's book, he's the center of the fucking story, anyways. But he really does sell this. But unfortunately, for the absolutely wrong fucking reasons. Like he turns this into one goddamn ridiculous, he just fucking spectacle, and so. Yeah, I'm actually really not surprised that Strieber was like annoyed about all of this after the fact because just looking at it, I was like, that's probably not the way he was at all.
I mean, if you see Whitley Strieber in interviews, like he's pretty like straight laced, like he's straight ahead, doesn't really like deviate from his like story and even his demeanor.
Yeah,
the demeanor of Whitley Strieber is. 180 from fucking Christopher Walken. 180. Like this is not.
He's just like very reserved and very like.
Yeah, and it's again we said that it's Christopher Walken in this movie. He's not playing Whitley Strieber. He's just happens to have the name Whitley Strieber attached to them in this movie. Yeah. But it's all Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken cannot be anyone else but Christopher Walken.
And that is exactly why people hire him.
Yeah. Exactly.
They don't want anything else. They don't want fucking Christopher Walken pretending to be. Whatever. I'm not. At this point, I can't picture anything.
I'm not a person who knows about every Christopher Walken movie or every film out there.
I've seen a shitload of them.
You have, and as a person who has done that, is there any point where he doesn't play?
Nope. Himself? Absolutely not. And that's because I remember him playing the goddamn Headless Horseman in Sleepy Hollow. And that was the fucking funniest thing because he spent all the movie without a fucking head, and then all of a sudden at the end they give it back to him, and you see Christopher Walken with shark teeth.
You know when he's looking at Christopher Reach and he goes, like,
yeah,
that's Christopher. That's fucking Christopher.
Yes, dude. With his bright blue eyes, yeah. Fuck yes.
I will say that the first time I was introduced to Christopher Walken was Batman Returns when he's playing Max Shrek.
Yeah.
You know, even then I was like, this guy's fucking weird.
Yeah.
And then as you go down the line, you start watching some of these movies, you're like, he's literally playing the same guy.
He's just doing the same shit, and it's excellent.
Yeah, it's great.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mayor Max Shrek.
Yeah.
Jeez. How could you do that? How could you do that to
Selena?
yeah, I was gonna say Selena Kyle, but I was what the hell's the name of the actress's name?
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer. How could you do that to Michelle? You bitch. You bitch.
Well, she came back and got her revenge.
She came back hotter. Never mind.
Yeah.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Yeah, we're not encouraging any bosses to push any like secretaries out the window so they can become
just
hotter.
Figure out a way. Yeah, exactly. Just skip that part and jump to the end. All right. Enough of the violence. I'm just more interested in the hotness.
Yeah. Well.
But yeah, I'll give it a 4.5.
Yeah.
4.5.
That's honestly respectable because again, this movie is bad.
Yeah. It's
my
not
6 is
a good
predicated
movie.
on the fact that it's Christopher Walken and his stupid alien shit, which is bad. So if you think it's bad and it's not enjoyable to you, then you should give it the lower rating, because we are in agreement that it is not good, but it's just how much did we enjoy the terribleness. Because some people just don't. And that's totally fine.
Yeah, I don't know. Why? It sounds like a hassle.
Yeah. It's a pain in the ass to like
be a film critic.
Be annoyed by someone else's opinion, you know?
Right.
I mean, you enjoy other people's opinions even if they are different, but to get into an argument about it, like fuck that shit.
Nah.
The way we disagree, we say, "No, fuck you. No, fuck you," and then we just move on.
That's it.
That's it. That's the way you do it.
It's easy. Eat shit.
You're wrong. Fuck you.
My heart.
Yeah, and he doesn't give a shit. So
no, I couldn't. I couldn't if I wanted to, which I don't.
So that'll be it for us for the last podcast of 2022. I'm thinking we might do something else, but I don't want to like make any announcements.
Nah.
Because not that anyone cares, but then it's gonna be staying in my head, and then I'm gonna like fucking stress over it.
Let it turn into a tumor.
But we'll be doing some more reactions on YouTube, so check that out. We should have a few more coming out for the end of the year, and then we will be back next year. So enjoy it. See you next time. Like and subscribe.
Oh yeah,
that stuff.
That's important.
Now you can. Okay, bye.